And there was a group from Africa, from Abyssinia, that had came to gather. And they started to do one of their traditional celebrations. And they had spears, and they had song and dance. And this was all going on in the mosque of the beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anh, he saw that, and he said, wait, this is the Prophet's mosque. What are they doing with this music and with this celebration? And the Prophet himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, Ya Umar, he said, let them do this because this is their culture. They're the sons of Arfida, which was a name that they called the Ethiopians. This is their tribe, and this is how they celebrate, and this is good because then the people of Medina will know that we have a vastness in our religion. And we don't just pray and fast, but we celebrate and we sing and we express ourselves in this beautiful way. And then in one narration, all of the Sahaba were watching, and our mother Aisha radiallahu anha, she couldn't see because she was shorter and there were many people in front of her. So the Prophet himself put her on his back, on his blessed back, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then she put her cheek next to his, and with their cheeks touching, they watched this celebration. And if we're going to build a community that is rooted in these lands and communicating the beauty of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah to our people, it won't just be the imams and the scholars. It will be the artists, it will be the poets, it will be the musicians, it will be the activists, and all of us together, inshallah, arm in arm, serving together. So, forgive me for even being here. I just came to listen, particularly to our young people, to learn from them and to serve with them, inshallah. I want to also say, because often people that are in leadership positions don't necessarily articulate the importance of the arts amongst the young people. But luckily, when I converted to Islam when I was 20 years old, and I came out of hip-hop music, and I became Muslim because of Chuck D and Rakim, right? I became Muslim because of hip-hop. And then I came into a community that said you can't do that anymore, often. But Imam Joe Ban, who many of you would know, he's an elder in our community, and he's from Indonesia. And he told me, he knew I was a young artist, and he told me, he said, let me tell you something. He said, I'm Indonesian, and my country is the most populous Muslim country on planet Earth, Indonesia. He said, and I'll tell you how Islam came to my land. He said, our people were Hindu before Islam. And one of the most central cultural aspects was that we had these puppet shows. Right? So they would have these wooden puppets, and they would tell the stories of their gods and goddesses. And they would gather, and they would use fire to actually project the puppets on a big wall behind. It was like a movie theater, the first movie theater. So the entire city would gather to watch these. And so the first Muslims that arrived, they call them the Wali Sangha, the 9 saints. They came to give da'wah, to communicate the deen to these people. And they were in the crowd when they gave this original performance. And you could think now what many people might say, this is the kufr shirk, right? These deities and these puppets and these little idols, what is this? But they did not say that. The people gave them the puppet show, and then afterwards they asked them, they said, what did you think of our puppet show? They said, it was really beautiful. We just have one request. And that's that next time the people gather, that you allow us to put on a puppet show for you, to repay the honor. Right? So you can imagine these turbaned ulama practicing their puppet show, right? But next time the people gathered, the entire city gathered, they got on stage, and through these puppets, they told the story of the Battle of Badr. Through puppets. And Imam Joe Ban told me, he said, in every one of the millions and millions and millions of people that are Muslim in my country, they all trace back to these 9 men. He says, so you use your art to tell your people about this deen. So I just want all together to give a round of applause to these young brothers and sisters expressing themselves.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
And we will be unstoppable when we get the people of knowledge, Islamic knowledge, with the people of cultural capital. The people that have the ear of the young people that are in the streets together will be unstoppable. So I want to just close with this prayer, and it's a collective prayer. So everybody after every line say Ameen, inshallah. May your day be filled with love and light.
Ameen.
May your wrongs be right.
Ameen.
May your bonds be tight.
Ameen.
May your words give sight.
Ameen.
May your nur shine bright.
Ameen.
May you always be on the righteous side of the fight.
Ameen.
May your lovers be loyal. May your soil be fertile.
Ameen.
May your khakis stay creased. May your locks stay oiled.
Ameen.
May your plans never get foiled.
Ameen.
May your plot thicken.
Ameen.
May your chicken be halal.
Ameen.
May your style be sufficient.
Ameen.
May your soul be free of its prison.
Ameen.
May Allah increase you in your vision.
Ameen.
May you find everything you've been missing.
Ameen.
May you awake for prayer before the sun has risen.
Ameen.
When you speak, may your audience listen.
Ameen.
May you never feel trapped in the system.
Ameen.
May you sire many righteous children who will act on prophetic tradition.
Ameen.
May you always have food on your plate.
Ameen.
May you learn from every mistake.
Ameen.
May you rise above all the hate. And
Ameen.
may Allah increase you in your state.
Ameen.
May you never pretend that you are what you ain't.
Ameen.
May your friends be real and never be fake.
Ameen.
May your rent never have to be late.
Ameen.
And may your health always be great.
Ameen.
May Allah forgive every sin, now and forever if you falter again. And may you always stay close with your kin.
Ameen.
And may He make all your enemies friends.
Ameen.
May He make reality of your plans. May your present be pleasant. May you have a good end.
Ameen.
May your heart be purified of its flaws. And may you act according to the laws that were revealed in the book of Allah. And may He catch you whenever you fall.
Ameen.
May the one guide you to the truth.
Ameen.
When you doubt, may He show you the proof.
Ameen.
May you be like the Ahl Safa with the wisdom of the elders, the energy of the youth.
Ameen.
May He accept your prayers and your fasts. The very first all the way to the last.
Ameen.
And remove obstacles that you have.
Ameen.
And may you receive everything that you ask.
Ameen.
May you never have regret for your past.
Ameen.
And receive mercy, not the wrath.
Ameen.
And as you travel down your personal path, may you always have a reason to laugh.
Ameen.
Ameen. Ameen. Give yourself a round of applause. Thank you.
Wow, I like it when we improvise, something that's not planned. Just waiting for Solomon, so in the meantime, I'm going to shift the performances to now. So we can start off with Hanan. And I'm sure many of you have heard Hanan. I heard her first time. There was a fellow block party here. I know Cafe Red, they helped back that. And a lot of the artists that will be performing today were at the block party. And I had the pleasure to meet them. And yeah, I'm talking too much.
Thank you, Bilal. Assalamu alaikum again, everyone.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Let me sit down. So, I'm going to be honest about where I'm at. We buried my cousin yesterday. It was his janazah. And it was a really heavy loss for me, but also a reminder. He was one of those youth that ended up incarcerated, and he had only been out for like a week. And he had spent like half a decade of his life in jail. And for all of the misconceptions and for all of the assumptions that any distant aunt or person could have about this cousin, he would call me at any time that he could get on the phone. He would call me and he would ask me if I was still praying, and he would ask me if I was still believing, if I was still connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so I'm here, initially I thought that I was gonna just drop everything that I was doing and to just stay home and eat food and just like be a hermit. But I'm here for him, and I'm here to share some words and to ask that you all keep him in your prayers. His name was Samata, and he was an amazing and comedic and loving cousin. And I ask that Allah reunite us all in the best place.
Ameen.
I'm going to start with a piece I wrote when I was being ungrateful. And I was I was feeling really upset about life, and I remember walking from, at the time, I believe I was working at a coffee shop, but I was walking from that coffee shop, and I saw someone on the street who had just arisen from a nap. So he was sleeping on the concrete, nothing under him or over him, and he had arisen from a nap, and as he's stretching, the light's hitting him in such a beautiful way, and he's smiling, and he's really happy, and he's grateful. More grateful than I was being at the time, because I was mad that I didn't get a check on time. But the poem goes, lately I have felt a light blockage in my spirit. Had to take the time to look within so I could heal it. Uncle Sam bought my minute, so I bit down and committed. Let my mind do the walking while my soul went unattended, but it figures though. Felt for some time that I was losing hope. Called out to my Lord, and I did the most, waiting for the echoes from the sky, but I heard the call from below. Black brother, brown eyes shining awful bright. Hands resembling dates as he stretched into the light, thanking God for his mercy, even though his funds were tight. Body on the concrete, but his soul was in the sky, and I took a deep breath, turned into a sigh. I woke up this morning, that's enough to get me high. I woke up this morning, that's enough to get me high. I woke up this morning, that's enough to get me like black coffee, like the God above. Black coffee, wake the people up. Black coffee, like my mother's strong, full of love, mixed with hazelnut. And the best part of waking up is just waking up. And just for clarification, when I say black coffee like the God above, I'm not attributing any sort of look or vision to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah's incomprehensible, but it's that comparison that the way coffee wakes us up, you know, that little switch that we feel when we take a sip of coffee, that awareness, that feeling of awareness is something that, you know, that's a small comparison, but like when you feel the awareness of being aware of the divine and aware of God and aware of the connection that we have as human beings, it's a beauty and it's an understanding that sometimes fades away, but it's something that we need to hold on to and that we need to replenish, you know? Black coffee like the God above, black coffee wake the people up, black coffee like my mother's strong, full of love, mixed with hazelnut, and the best part of waking up is just waking up. So that's the first piece. The second piece is not done, and I usually don't share new stuff. I like to sit down and memorize things and come out and just like give you all the full presentation, but this is from the heart. Not that that isn't from the heart, but this is less planned and from the heart. Our dear brothers, young lions in a land of faux giants put you in a cage because you felt ignited. Taught you to be silent while your brothers die from violence. Funerals on funerals, everybody's mom is crying. I don't want another moment of silence. I can't take another moment of silence. We're waiting on the day y'all decide to be our activists. Stand up against oppression for a future that we know exists. Instead of getting faded off a cup of purple activists, we praying on a day that you decide to quit. And we ain't out here to judge or to call you thugs or make you feel any lesser than us. But anyone who truly loves you wants the best for you or better. Not to get locked up over a polo sweater. Not for you to get lost in ideas and measures created by oppressors who reinvent change. So the only way we can communicate with you is through letters, jail. Let these bars be the ones that keep you from others. So each day can end with a kiss from your mother or a hug from your sister, Allah knows they miss you. Thank you.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
It's heartfelt, man. I appreciate Hanan taking the time out to come today. Next up is a special guy. I met him at the block party again in the summer. Isam, he introduced me to him and he said, yo, you know who this guy is? He's from London. He's a hood intellectual. That's how he introduced me to everyone, right? And then he looked at me, he's like, yeah, bro, I follow your page, you know, I love what you do and stuff like that. And he's like, you know, one day I want you to write a piece of my stuff. So I'm still do that, bro. I need to promise you that in public. But Jarrell, there's nothing this guy can't do in the creative scene, and he came today as well to perform and to share with you guys. So once again, I'm talking too much. Jarrell.
Y'all okay if I don't use the mic? Yeah. As long as it doesn't make noise. Thank y'all. Appreciate having space to be able to speak to y'all, share some of my art, share my heart with y'all. It's a blessing. Shout out to Isam. Bro, appreciate the space. And shout out to all the people that performed. Can you just clap it up one more time? The art in that is important, and some people have talked about that because we can tell stories in ways that we can't tell by just verbiage and talking. And it connects to young people in a different way. And I'm born and raised in this neighborhood. I grew up right on this right on this block. I was a mission kid from the south end of Seattle. Born and raised in Seattle. When you're from the south end, you still connected to the city. Everybody in the south end got folk that's from the city. That's what it means to be Seattle. Bro, Harvey said that earlier. When you're from the south end, you're from the city, you kind of from both. You know what I'm saying? So representing the city, I gotta actually acknowledge where I come from in regards to my name. So my name is Jarrell, and that means spirit ruler. I was named after my grandfather, Jerry Lee Davis. My dad grew up in Compton, California. And my mom grew up right here in Seattle. She was grew up in the Yester Terrace projects, which were the first project housing in the United States.
That's right.
My dad grew up in Compton, California in the 60s and 70s. And so because of their upbringing, because of some of the things that they had to go through as children, they made it so I didn't have to go through some of that. And I think that's actually the point. We should be able to alley-oop things to our young people so they don't got to go through the same things that we had to. And so I give a lot of honor and appreciation to my parents. This morning, I actually saw a picture of my great-great-grandmother for the first time in my life. As African-American, you know, and I got problems with like the terms of what it means to be African-American, Black. At the end of the day, we didn't name ourselves yet. We go on strip. But I'm not fully connected to the motherland in a way that I would like to because of the disconnect of the transatlantic slave trade and the continuous colonization, recolonization of African Americans in this land. And so it was actually very spiritual for me to wake up to a text message from my sister. We just lost a loved one as well, so peace to all y'all that have folks that have transitioned this life. And my sister's in DC right now, and she sent me a picture of my great-grandmother. I've never seen a picture of her, so I'm actually feeling pretty connected to my ancestors, and I feel that energy. And so I want to drop this piece called New Growth. Talk to me if you are curious of hope. Pushing past the pain is the experience of growth. I'm watering my roots, nourishing the truth. Pedal to the metal, watch me flourish in the booth. But every rose got thorns in the stem though, especially the ones that rose from cement. So proceed with caution and proceed with patience. Steward your garden with no seed forsaken. Every step taken, notes taken by the greats. A student learns from mistakes and puts in the preparation during the off season. So don't protest the process. When there's slow progress, the harvest is coming even when you can't see it. Look to the ants, then look in the mirror. Then judge the work ethic before you say who's bigger. I know I'm blacker than the dirt I was made from. If real hair is currency, these Nazi locks, I would not trade them. And these crooked cops, we cannot change them. At least until we change ourselves first. My brother, not until you love yourself first. My sister, not until you properly appraise your self-worth. Look, absolutely, I'm African. I'm convinced that the savages were them Europeans that crossed the waters in Jesus' name, shacking us. Dynasties have been lasted. Architecture have been mastered. How could Greeks even learn to read when our alphabet had been crafted? Been rafted on boats and ships. Blacks came first, actually. Evidence in the melanin of our dark skin. And so naturally, humanity has got its roots in the motherland. No debating. And to the heroes of this nuanced nation, I've got no relation, new growth. Like I said, I'm born and raised in this neighborhood. Being a black male, there's a couple of things you're going to probably do. You're going to probably sell some weed at some point. You're going to probably rap at some point. You're going to probably hoop at some point. It's not stereotyping. Every black dude I ever grew up with do one of the three at some point in their life. I think it really is. I appreciate what someone said earlier about the folks in our neighborhoods that are trafficking, whatever. That's a business mind. That's an entrepreneur. Some of the most brilliant people I've ever met were the folks that society was trying to cast down. And so I want to talk a little bit about my experience, because I grew up in a pretty intersectional space. I spent a lot of time at Othello Park hooping and other things that happen at Othello Park. So I want to kind of tell a story about my halftime. Back when I was 16 years old, 10 feet up in the air was my only goal. Will I make it to the league? Only Lord knows. I bet this seat gonna be a throne for the door closed. Cause see, my homies taking shots, but hardly ever get to call them. Stacking chips and getting rich is sure to get you caught up. What you call it? Kind of crazy how we operate the quotas. Shoulders pushing off the chest, rookies on the corner. Chaos in the street, keep the gang discreet. Keep the codes in the cold or under the heat. Know a summer degree, couldn't focus on me. The block on lock, I ain't the only one with a key. So I copped a 9 million, gotta put it in the safe. I put revenge into my hands cause I was probably losing faith. Forget a fake or a Facebook foe in the face. Fatal mistakes make you break or force you to change. Can you relate? They say women, money, weed. That's a young brother anthem. Whether you a rapper, dope boy, or a panther. Drowned inside the bottle, I was swimming for the answers. I was getting high, you thought I could have worked for NASA. Heart pump plasma, coming off the bitch. Bringing energy and making sure the vibe is lit. Never had the flyest fits. Style-wise wasn't legit. Who would have ever thought that run of the litter would make it big? I was 16 years old. And 10 feet up in the air was my only goal. Will I make it to the league? Only Lord knows. I bet this seat gonna be a throne for the door closed. So
Yeah. Allahu Akbar.
So I'm an educator. I work with young people. A few years ago, started an organization to do organizing out of Rainier Beach High School, Emerson Elementary School. And I've learned a lot from working in schools. I made it so I wouldn't ever be connected to the school district. So after I graduated from college, I was like, I ain't gonna work for nobody. I promise you. And glory to God, I ain't had to do that since I graduated from college. And really organizing and activism is like a part of me. So it's gonna be a part of like the art that I create as well. And it's something I really wanna lift up. And I'm honored to actually look up and see a lot of men in the crowd because I got this piece that's actually a little bit difficult to perform. But I think it's very important that I spit this poem. And so I want to talk about some of the experiences that I've seen in school. This past Wednesday, we showed a film called Push Out, which talks about how black girls are pushed out, criminalized, and over-disciplined in school. And if you look at the statistics, you look at the movements, young men are always centered. And if we're looking at trickle-down economics, we're looking at the domino effect. Almost never, when men are centered, does it actually reach the young women that it needs to. And so I want to perform this piece called The Trouble with Black Girls. And me and I really want y'all to take this in and see where we are complicit in the oppression of our sisters, our mothers, and our daughters. This piece is for Kyla, Danielle, Jamasia, Mookie, Shay Shay, Taylor, all my little sisters that get in trouble in school. Why little black girls get in trouble and y'all act like you don't notice. Little black girls get in trouble, but y'all won't make a slogan. Little black girls get in trouble just for being who they are. Little black girl, keep your head up. Beautiful with many scars. We want these black boys to achieve. When we're good, we say our best. When we're bad, they call us thieves. Lock us up and call collect. In the class, the teacher's scared, calling cops on little kids. Like, how you get this job? You ain't qualified for this. Principals want to suspend, they power tripping and expel. All the while they pretend, always hiding in their shell. Never tell the full truth, cover lies and raise in hell. We ain't supposed to raise up royalty and keep them out of cells. But they rather do the easy way, keep the system punitive. Can't start over every day. The grudge is held accumulative. I'm true to this, not new to this. I've been up in the field, and I'm a little brother too, and so I know just how it feels. But I came up here today to tell y'all something hella necessary. I was going to these school board meetings, and that stuff is hella scary. Shout out to Elijah and to Dion, because they legendary. And fuck these white people trying to lead movements they ain't never carried. I be up in the classes, and I know how we get treated. All these black girls get in trouble, teachers make them feel defeated. They may not call police, but they won't put them out of class. Yeah, they put them in the hallway and don't care if they come back. They're not caring if they pass. They absolve themselves of feelings. And when you look at the statistics, can't deny that it's revealing. Because we center all this work around the boys, but here's the punch. All these black girls get in trouble too, and probably just as much. Maybe even more, but when we do the research, man, we see the statistics and we be like, me first. But when you add up consequences of double discrimination, it's the combination of racism and patriarchy that rule the nation. And it's never been more evident than now in education. It's time we step it up and understand the intersections. We need different. All you men, we need to recognize all this stuff is toxic. We don't change it, then it's weaponized. And I reckon I gotta be the one to move the dial. Ain't it wild? You call a man out, he turned into a child. All your feelings so extensive. Why you getting so defensive? How you think them black girls feeling when they sitting in detention? Not to mention ain't no system to report when they're abused. Seeking refuge from the streets and they ain't safer in the schools. We too used to all these problems, dog. We need to call it out. Call your school board members up. Tell them what you all about. Come support the underfunded. Make alternatives to government. Kill the patriarchy. I said forget the government. Mamas look into the schools and wonder where the lovers went. It's the underground educators that always got a supplement. And so I'm asking, why little black girls get in trouble and y'all act like you don't notice? Little black girls get in trouble, but y'all won't make a slogan. Little black girls get in trouble just for being who they are. Little black girls, keep your head up. You're beautiful, many scars. One love. Y'all hear me? Yeah. Word up, for sure, for sure. I'm gonna get up out of here because we got another amazing speaker coming up after me. I wanna make the stage. Hope I warmed it up for you. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got a blessing coming up. I'm gonna spit a piece. How many of y'all play chess real quick? How many of y'all play chess? If you don't play chess, I would suggest you play chess. It's a very good game for your mind, and actually has connected young people playing chess with their ability to perform mathematics. And in my experience working in education, I hear black kids all the time. By the time they get to high school, say they don't like math. But you rock with them, kindergarten through third grade, almost every single one of your kids is very good at math. And most of the times, they can identify a point where they stop liking math. Has a lot to do with the teacher. I would suggest your young folk play chess because it's actually a really good way to keep their minds on patterns, critical thinking, and it's known to improve ability to perform math. So I'm gonna spit this verse, and I'm up out of here. Is that cool? Yes, sir. I can't compromise my queen. And I've been thinking in the same way about my dreams. It's time to map the strategy around my schemes. I'm playing chess with the best till my castle is king. I see rookies to my left and my right, and they all taking L's like they lost in the night. This coffin is tight, the chain of pain is filthy. If unks came as James Avery, they wouldn't feel me. Aiming for my brain and you still can't kill me. I'm from another realm, this frame ain't the real me. I need some healing. Cause Bishop thought he had the juice till he fell like a pawn when he never should have moved. Jumping off the roof till you lying in the truth. I don't play about the pros, but they staying in cahoots. Oh, you met destiny? Hope you got a next date. Some things a king can't capture. We call that checkmate. One love, y'all. I'm ready to appreciate y'all. Holla at me.
You can tell he's a really good performer. I appreciate that, bro. That was a dope performance. Next up, we've got Amina. Once again, she was performing last night, and she's good. She's good, mashallah, man. So, there we go.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. How are you feeling?
Alhamdulillah.
Very
Good.
intense, very moving.
Feeling powerful.
Yes, very moving words we heard tonight. So I have this poem. It's about prayer, so it's only right to start off with. Say a prayer for the ones who have no food to eat. Say a prayer for your pops who works tirelessly and is constantly beat. Say a prayer for the mother whose contributions go unrecognized and whose pain rings from her feet, for her pain in her joints that lead to her heart. Pray for the friend who has faced death, for the condition of their grave and everything they did before their last breath. Pray for the ones struggling with their hearts. Pray for those that we overlook, like the person who held the door for you, or at Target, the woman who gave you your cart. Pray for the earth, no matter how big it feels. Never ignore the burden of treating it with the care it needs. Pray for those who are facing war. Unlike us who deal with the war between our nafs, they are also dodging bombs and fighting for their basic needs. Pray for the water and pray that it reaches those who are so hungry they're calm. And pray for a change of heart in ones dropping those bombs. May Allah banish the black specks that drives their greed. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ even prayed for his enemies. Prayer brings stillness and is the truest of remedies. Prayer is a form of currency. When you cannot pay someone back, you pray until you repay the debt. Prayer relieves debt both in this world and when we resurrect. Pray for the countries who are suffering the most. Pray for the streets of Seattle and those suffering from the opioids, because Allah reminds us that time is ticking day by day. The only thing that slows time and is most beneficial is when we just pray. Thank you, that's my first piece. So, a lot like everyone in this room, we have dealt with loss and trauma, and that really drives us to create products that are healing or to heal everyone around us, you know. It's either we act in self-destructive ways or we act in ways that benefit us and our soul, you know. That's the only two options. So I have some poetry based off of my own experience. As many people know, that I lost a brother to gun violence as well. So this is a piece about that. I'm losing him, I'm losing me, all gone wrong, why can't I leave? This pain is too much, the words heavy, feel this pain in my chest, I just wanna release, but this world is so cold, I need him to stay. You were the one who made me feel safe. You were so distant, yet knowing that as long as the world was blessed with your breath each and every day, it felt like you were close. You didn't say much to us, but your footsteps in the house were worth 1,000 words. The way your body filled up the halls made me feel like no one could ever come in at all. I woke up to your knocks in the middle of the night. I can still remember the beat of your knock, something that I always wish I could mock. Ana's sighs and relief echoed off these walls as she hears the heavy creaks on our floorboards. knowing that the man she grew from herself, whose roots were wrapped around her hips, weighing her down, but at the same time keeping her balanced. You were planted in her heart, feeding from her, even when you two were apart, knowing her boy came home after a long night out in a world that is so cold. It was never meant for you. Heavy steps and creaks in the floorboards. I used to hear the way you shifted around all night on the bed that never fit you because you were so tall. You towered above me and your shadow wrapped around me, catching my every fall. That's when I felt most connected, like our rooms. The walls were connected. I remember the night you never came home. I remember it so well I could never forget. Woke up that morning to crying at the door. Our neighbor, her son was shot. She came to my mother for comforting arms, but the irony was that her own boy was also shot. Our neighbor's son and you were together. But the difference was that you were murdered, she was oblivious to it, and she looked for you everywhere in the house, telling me to go check every part of the house twice. Then again, she said, go check again, go check the garage even. When she couldn't find you, her heart became numb. She knew that something was wrong because you would always come home. A news report my sister read that morning on her computer at work. This was her daily routine, but never did she think that a report would resonate with her life. 20-year-old black male shot last night in Federal Way. When she called Io from work and told her Io didn't need to hear anymore, she needed nothing more because she knew that was you. The absence of noise through the halls that you filled. No more sighs of relief because her fear became reality. You were no longer wrapped around her hips, but you were forever wrapped around her thoughts. 'Cause these streets feel cold in the summer without the footsteps of my brothers. The streets feel cold in the summer without my brother staying posted, getting sunburnt. We live in a world that is so cruel. Kids can't get home safe from their schools. We got mothers crying over tombstones. Another one gone, there's no safe zone. Thank you. So that's an inside perspective of what someone deals with when they're losing someone that's close to them, especially like a black male, a brother, a son. It's rough. It's very rough, and it doesn't get easier after years. My last piece is called Ride or Die. When you lose someone, you question a lot of things, and you go through a long process of searching for healing through questioning. So this one's about questioning those who claim they love you and that they would ride or die for you. It's very short, but you claim that you loved him when he was around. Claim that you would ride with him throughout every journey, even if he departs from his body. Am I crazy to hold you accountable for those words? Death came, death conquered, but you were nowhere to be found. Left 2 letters on a platform so the world would know that somehow you've accomplished with your words. 2 letters that prove nothing but false promises. False hope until death carried him away. Makes me doubt the words of people who say they will be there for you when you're gone. Yes, there for you when you're gone, because there are many components that make up who we are. Ourselves plus those who have a place in our hearts, like our mothers, our fathers, our siblings. Were you there for them while they dealt with the pain? Were you riding after death came? Were you checking up on the ones tied to his name? Did you think of them whenever you visited his grave? If you visited his grave? Was it when you couldn't see him or hear him that you closed the door? You put a rest to riding when he was put to rest, so you promised his breathing body and his intact soul that you would ride until you died. Don't reap what you cannot sow. Thank you.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
There's blessings we take for granted, blessings we fail to see. Our sight, for example, or simply being present in this planet. There's folks who have no sight but are happy with what they're handed, because even through the challenges they face, the Almighty will never leave them stranded. Like a rose growing through concrete, there is a seed being planted, built by the struggles of life's strength beyond wonders. Like a tree still standing, many of us have been heartbroken and humbled through our experience, but through both we have found ease and understanding, knowing that everything is all planned by the Almighty, and we have to grow to accept God's plan. Thank you.
الله أكبر.